Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Islamic or Sharia law, session number 8. Injunctions. Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah amma ba'd. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. General injunctions for family life. The injunctions for family life are given in more detail than any other subject in the Holy Quraan. In the social life of man, home is of utmost gravity. What is it that we call society? The doors of different homes open daily, and the individual dwellers get dispersed in different directions. That is what makes a society. In the evening, the same people return to their respective homes. These very homes keep developing the future community. The upbringing of children depends upon their internal atmosphere. The fate of the future of nation is thus directly connected with the way children are brought up. The concept of Nizam-e Rabubiyat, that is the economic system laid down in the Quran, is based on the principle that every earning member of the society shall work according to his capacity, and all that is gained by their collective effort shall be spent in fulfilling the needs of all the individuals of the society. In the miniature form, this system takes shape within the four walls of a home. The earning member of the family does not keep to himself what he earns, nor does he give priority to his own needs over the needs of the other members of the family. His earnings are spent by all the members of the family. In so in so doing, the earner does not bestow a favor upon the recipient, nor does the recipient receives it as a charity. The donor considers it to be his responsibility, and the recipient considers it to be his right. Based on the principle of the division of labor, all keeps themselves busy in the performance of their respective duties. From this arises the feeling of mutual cooperation, and thus a pleasant atmosphere prevails. The result of this delightful prevalence produces the occurrence of deep relationship of love and attraction which lasts for rest of their lives. Thus a good home presents an example for the good society. This is why the Holy Quran has accorded such a great importance to family life and has provided detailed injunctions to make it exemplary. And this aspect takes precedence in our order of priority too in connection with Quranic injunctions. Injunctions, family life, the status of man and woman. Basically, according to the Holy Quran, there is no difference or distinction between one child and another by virtue of his birth. As said in Ayah 17-70, we have made every human being equally worthy of respect, is the ground rule. It is apparent that both men and women are included in humanity, and both of them are equally worthy of respect. In pre-Islamic Arabia, a girl was considered inferior to a boy, and sadness, depression, and anger of spirits prevailed upon the birth of a girl. The Holy Quran had forcefully condemned this mentality and has described it as follows in as said in Surah 16-58 and 59. When news is brought to one of them of the birth of a female child, his face darkens and he is filled with inward grief. The birth of a girl is considered such a disgraceful event that he hides himself with shame from the people because of the bad news announced to him. He begins to think whether he should keep her alive with disgrace or bury her in the dust in order to save himself from this ignominy. Ah, what an evil choice he decides on her. The result of this degraded status of girls in the Arab society of that era was that they were kept devoid of literacy and art. They were considered foolish and ignorant. There was no value of their opinions, and they were considered unworthy of consultation in setting affairs. It is apparent that when they are kept in this position is in successive generations, their intellect would gradually degenerate. These were the women whom the Quran describes as in Ayah 43-18. One brought up among ornaments and unable to give a clear account in a dispute. This was the abatement in a woman, on the basis of which Quran had advised that when a woman had to appear before the court of law, a second woman shall stand by her side to remind her if she forgets or is confused, as said in the heading of evidence, as said in Ayah 2-282. If one of them gets confused or forgets, the other may remind her. Quran raised woman from this level and with proper education and upbringing brought her to the level of man in all walks of life. Men are instructed not to look down on women because, as said in Ayah 3-194, the one of you is from the other. However, in relation to certain natural functions like childbirth and the nurturing and upbringing of children, there is their own distinct division of labor. From this point of view, in the allocation of labor, men are superior to women in some affairs, and women are superior to men in others. This is what is meant by, as said in Ayah 4-32 and 34, Allah has made some of them excel others. In order to fulfill their natural obligations, a woman's major part of life is spent in the giving birth to and upbringing the children. During this period, she is not capable of earning her own livelihood. Thus, as is stressed by the Quran, in a family life, man is responsible for fulfilling the needs of the woman. As said in Ayah 4-34, men are the maintainers of women. This has been made clear so that men may not think that women consume their earnings while sitting at home, with no effort on their part. Thus, taking them as needy, men may consider them despicable and abject. Quran has explained to men that family life is a mutual affair. In it, the duties performed by women are not within your reach. As such, it is your duty to provide for her and the children. This does not mean that Quran considers woman a disabled person entirely dependent on man. What has been said relates only to distribution of work in family life. Otherwise, a woman can also earn her livelihood and be its owner. It is said in Surah An-Nisa in Ayah 4-32, men shall have what they earn and women shall have what they earn. Since in family life, the fulfillment of the needs of the wife and children is the responsibility of man, in the inheritance of the property of parents, a daughter's share is half that of a son. Details will be there in the chapter of inheritance. Besides the difference described above, the status of men and women is equal in all affairs of daily life. equal to the extent that Quran has used the word zoj for them. If two parts of a certain object are such that one remains incomplete without the other, each one of these two parts is called zoj, that is, one serves as a means to complement the other. For example, the two wheels of a cart, if one is missing or is weak or comparatively smaller, the other shall become useless. That is the relationship between a wife and her husband and their positions in the vehicle of life. As far as belonging to different sexes is concerned, there is no special competency that man possesses and women do not. Observe how the Quran has described their qualities as parallel to one another when it is said in ayah 33 35. It is a fact that as men can bow down to the divine laws, so can women. As men can be the believers in truth, so can women. As men are capable of attesting and verifying their belief by their personal acts, so are women. As men possess the capability of not losing heart in the event of trials, so are women. As men can go on submitting to the feelings of their responsibilities, so do women possess their capability. As men are equipped with the equality of self sacrifice, so are women. As men can keep complete control over themselves, so can women. As men possess the capability of keeping themselves subservient to the divine law, so do women. As men and women both possess all the above qualities, the fruits of their deeds should also be similar for each other. For the same reason, Allah has prepared protection and reward for both. It can thus be seen from the above that there is no aspect of life in which men are competent, but the women are not. Quran says in ayah 4-124, if having professed Iman, any does deeds of righteousness, that is constructive and positive, whether male or female, both shall get the life of paradise, and not the least injustice will be done in their recompense. At another place, the Quran states in ayah 3-194 and 16-97, never shall we deprive any of you of the fruits of your efforts, whether male or female. You are the individuals belonging to the same kind. So why should there be any distinction or classification between you? To enjoin what is lawful according to the divine law and prohibit what is unlawful is the basic duty function of an Islamic state. And men and women both can take part in the performance of this duty. As said in ayah 9-71, the believing men and women are friends and associates, companions of one another on the account of their sharing the motto of life. They enjoin what is just and forbid what is evil. They establish the system of salat and provide means of nourishment to humanity and obey Allah and His Rasul, that is the divine order. These are the people who shall benefit from the means of nourishment provided by Allah, and the whole world shall witness the power and wisdom of the divine laws. Thus, a woman cannot be declared ineligible for taking part in state affairs merely on account of her being a woman. It is apparent that from the principles laid down in the Quran that any law that discriminates between the men and women only on the basis of the sex is repugnant to Quran, except in those matters where the Quran has specifically said so, that is, share of inheritance. Ladies and gentlemen, here we conclude this session, and that this session will actually continue in the next sitting. Let's pray from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He grants us wisdom to learn Holy Quraan, Islamic or Sharia law, and to uh, to apply it rightly in our families, in our cultures, in our communities, countries, and world as a whole, and have the courage to make sure that this is rightly applied in true sense. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be our best guide and protector and bestows upon us whatever best suits us. Ladies and gentlemen, take care of yourselves, your near and dears, your kith and kins, your communities, and your environment as a whole. Till next session, Allah Hafiz.